Hey, my friend, the topic of this episode is how to wholesale houses with no money. All right. So there's a question that came in, and I wanted to answer the question as I take a walk today. And the question is this: how do I put a house under contract when I don't have the money to pay for the house? Right. Well, that question is it's kind of like a loaded question because there's certain concepts you need to understand before before it to make sense to you. Well, the first concept you need to understand is the process of buying a house. Okay, so buying real estate is not like going to the mall and then just giving cash in exchange right away. It's still a transaction. There's money that needs to exchange hands, absolutely, but it's not a one time or one day process usually. Okay, there are scenarios where someone can come in, put a contract together, slap a contract together, and then and then wire money. And there are scenarios like that, but typically that's not the situation. If you're spending 50,000 in some of the worst markets, maybe is to spending 100,000, 200, $300,000 on a home, you're not just giving the cash. You want to protect yourself, okay? So in other words, there's a contract that needs to go to place. There's structural issues with the house. There's historical issues with the house, with the maybe there are liens against the houses. It takes time to pull up the liens to see if there's any kind of debt against the property, the real estate property. So a lot of times there could be liens against the property, not necessarily against the owner. Those things take time. It takes time to pull those information to make sure that you're not buying liabilities. So because of that, the process of buying real estate itself takes a little bit longer than buying just anything from a mall or from a marketplace. Okay, so there's a contract that needs to go in place. So typically, an average person that owns their home knows that. So the idea that you need money to put a house under contract, number one, is off because you probably didn't understand that. Okay, now let's assume you know that. You knew that already. Yeah, I knew that. Yeah, but yes, you know that. But and yes, sometimes you put what they call earnest deposit, right? Maybe $1,000. But when you're dealing with the motivated sellers, if you're trying to wholesale a house, right? You're not dealing with a retail seller, okay? You're not dealing with a person that has all the time in the world. They're looking for the right price on the marketplace. You're dealing with a motivated seller, somebody that needs to get rid of a property, right? That's what you're dealing with. Somebody that totally needs to get rid of a property because that property has become a liability for them. So you're stepping in to help them remove that situation, right? And then that's going to become profit for you, yeah, but everybody is different. You're in a place where you can invest in properties. They're in a place where they're desperate to get rid of a property. And that's what creates a marketplace and an economy traditionally in the first place, okay? You have something that I want, I have something that you want. We exchange, we just created economy. We just exchanged money, okay? That's what you call money. That's what you call the economy. That's what you call a marketplace, right? So there's nothing completely strange. There's nothing strange about that. Does that make sense? I need to get my selfie stick here, right? There's nothing strange about that. So when you get into a marketplace of real estate, you put out some marketing. Somebody called you, right? They called you and they say, "Hey, you said you buy houses. Can you come take a look at my house?" You get in there. You say, "I like it. Can you accept this offer?" Your offer is typically 65% of the after repair value minus the repair cost, okay? And then if they accept, you have them sign a paper. Can somebody say, yeah, can you put some deposit down? It's possible, but typically if you're dealing with a motivated seller, they don't ask that question. And if they do, you say, hey, I'll put $10 just to make the contract valid. I put $10 down, right? Anything more than that, you're not dealing with a motivated seller. That's what's going on. See, most of the problems with wholesaling houses, most of the problems you're going to encounter, it's probably going to be because you're not dealing with a motivated seller. And you have to have a very strong radar to detect non-motivations, and don't waste your time, okay? Because sometimes motivated sellers, some people can pretend to be motivated sellers. Yeah, they can pretend to be that because they're desperate, but not really. Maybe they've had a few other newbies offer them stuff, and they have like a high fence up, or somebody that's extremely defensive when it comes to anything that doesn't seem conventional, or people that are very quick to call stuff scams. They'll pretend to be motivated, but they're not really motivated. So you gotta have a few things in place to help you detect motivation. For me, it's very straightforward. Motivation is very straightforward. I can hear it in their tone, in their voice. I can even hear it on the phone. If somebody is motivated and they need to get rid of the property. That's why when I was wholesaling a lot, I just dealt with people in pre-foreclosures, because that's straightforward right there. They have a house, they owe way too much money than the property is worth. Okay, so that right there is a numbers game, and they need to get rid of the property. Does that make sense? So motivation is really the number one reason why most people have struggles in the business, because they keep dealing with people that are not motivated. Okay, so yes, you can put a house under contract with absolutely no money. If they're motivated enough, they don't ask you for money. If they ask for anything, you give them $10, and they sign a contract and you say $10, and you go to work to get the cash buyer to put the cash together, or to do your homework on how you're going to exit out of the deal with some profit. Okay, so yes, you can put a house under contract with no money, because everybody already understands that it takes time to close a deal on a piece of real estate. All right, so now the next question is how do you find these people? How do you find motivated sellers? Because again, that question really comes, I told you earlier, it's a loaded question, because typically it comes from people marketing to the wrong type of people, right? Or spending time prospecting the wrong type of prospect, right? How do you find motivated sellers? Well, I have a very slick way of doing it. Okay, traditionally, the way I did it traditionally was you send direct mails to pre-foreclosures. Okay, but here's the truth of the deal. Let me tell you the truth. A lot of people are doing that these days. Okay, so you got to start thinking outside of the box. See, if the pre-foreclosure list is public to everyone, right? So if you send a letter to all these people, right? You send a letter to all those people, and then everybody else is sending a letter to them. So you have an oversupply of all this letters on people's tables once they are late 3 months or so. What's going to end up happening is that the attention will go a little lower on those letters. And sorry, I'm taking a walk at the same time talking to you, so pardon me if I'm breathing a little harder. Right? So, but as I was saying, if I'm losing my train of thought a little bit because I saw that dog pass by, so I have to kind of chill and make sure there's no big dogs chasing me, right? Yeah. All right. So there's a lot of letters on people's tables when they get into pre-foreclosure, because their name goes public, right? Once they're 3 months late, and everybody else are sending letters to these people. So there's a ton of letters. So at the very minimum, the chances that your letter is going to get picked up and you get a call has reduced dramatically from when I started back in the days. Okay, so you got to think outside of the box. So what I do these days is I learn digital marketing, because what people do is they take those letters and they go onto onto YouTube, they go find out more information. When they try to find more information about how to avoid foreclosure, my question for you is, did they find you? If they're not seeing your information, if they don't find you, guess what happened? You lost. Okay? So here's the thing. What if everybody else is sending letters, right? And you don't have to send any letter, but when they Google information, they find you, and you didn't spend a dime on the letter or direct mailing, right? So direct mailing right now is overpriced. Why? Because the internet is still fairly cheap. It's getting overpriced little by little because the corporate America is paying attention to it as well. Or let me say the price is increasing because when there's increased demand, there's increase in price, right? So we're talking about price of marketing, right? So the best way is something I cover in my free masterclass in details, and which is learning how to attract organic traffic, learning how to generate leads organically, right? And the idea of learning how to generate leads organically comes from you're giving value first, okay? You simply become the best at giving more value. Sorry about the sun. Right? You become, the sun is like this way, right? You become more valuable. You become the person that brings the most value to your ideal prospect. Your ideal prospects are going to come online because they're going to get all these letters, and they're going to want to Google more information because everybody Googles, right? So how can you give so much value? How can you become a Google producer when it comes to avoiding foreclosure, when it comes to selling a home, right? When it comes to selling my house fast? How can you become a Google producer of content that can actually help them out and then generate leads from that? That's the question you want to be asking yourself. You want to be the producer of information that's going to help people that are in your ideal prospect situation. Because think about this, your ideal prospect, remember, they're a motivated seller because they have some kind of event that have created a massive problem in their lives. So you need to do some research on what a lot of these people are going through, and you want to be the person that brings the information to the table once they go to Google or YouTube and places like that. And that's something I cover again in details in my free class. So just go ahead and register for the free class, reserve a seat. It's allatalks.com/mastermind. That's where you find that information. But again, yes, you can put a house under contract with no money. But under one condition, you have to be dealing with motivated sellers only. If you're dealing with retail sellers, of course they're gonna want you to put at least $1,000. They're gonna have you talk to their realtor, the conventional everything. They're gonna want you to show some commitment in mortgage and all those things. They're gonna be defensive about creative solutions because you're dealing with a non-motivated seller, a retail seller. Okay? A motivated seller typically don't have time, but at the same time have time for the solution you present to them because they will see you as the solution, right? Just working with you as the solution to help them get rid of a property that they don't want anymore. So hopefully this video helped you. Subscribe, like this video, share it with your friends, and reserve a seat in the class. allatalks.com/mastermind. That's OLATUX as in Xerox.com. Talk soon. Bye now.